It's infinite, right, Charles? It's infinite. It's impossible to grasp all.
Life is the learning process. We will never know everything, but maybe we can learn from one stage to the other.
Hey,
Hello, Thomas.
how are you doing, Jill?
I'm doing good.
Awesome. It's still dark here.
Out in California.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we just have some sun.
Yeah, the weather's been so nice here the past few days.
It's been really pretty here too.
Good, good. It's about springtime, huh?
Yeah, almost.
Good morning. Can you hear us?
Good morning. How are
Hello.
you?
Good afternoon. I'm sorry the system crashed and we had to rebuild them in like very little alert. So good morning and good afternoon, and we are very happy to hear your voices. Thank you. I was listening to this little conversation between you before everything started because I did not have a microphone, and it was very pleasant to listen to you all. Thank you.
Good to hear you, Eti. Good to hear you.
And how is your day? How is your week? Would you like to share experience with us? Is there something that you would like to give it a voice before we start?
Hi, Etty.
Hi, good
I
morning,
hope you're
Thomas.
doing well. Hey, thank you.
Yes, Thomas.
I just want to say hey.
Hey, good morning. Good morning. How are you today?
I'm good. Yeah, I just woke up. It's still pretty dark here, but I can see the sun is slowly coming up.
That's good. That's good. And thank you for sharing. And Felipe is here. Good morning, Felipe. And in front of us, I see already Fernando is here. There's a whiteboard. Do you have an access to the whiteboard? Fernando, Jill, Charles, Thomas, do you have an access to it?
Yeah, I see it on YouTube.
Yes, that's good.
Hello, Eti.
Hello, good
Hello,
morning.
my friends.
How are you?
Good evening, good morning.
Good to
I'm
hear.
fine, thanks. I'm thinking that the sun rising is such a beautiful moment. So, greetings to Thomas. It's a nice moment to be in touch with the spirit.
Thank you, Felipe. Greetings.
Yeah. Thank you.
It's very interesting that you mentioned the moment of the sun rising, because what we have prepared for today is the text about the manna. And I would like to discuss the manna with you. The question is, where would you like to start? With this little picture, or with a text, or with something else that comes to you at the moment? What would you like to start with?
With the text, if it's possible, I would like to.
Yeah, how about the I like this picture, but what is the scripture?
What is the scripture? Here it is. Let's open it. Yes, and who is volunteering to read in English first? Just to have the concept, and then we shall move to Hebrew and work with the Hebrew letters. So who is volunteering to read the English verses here? This is from Exodus 16. Yes.
You're muted, by the way.
I'm muted. Okay.
I can read if you want me to.
Thank you.
And
Hello?
Moses said,
Yeah. Sorry.
I'm sorry.
So, Jill, do you have a sound? Excuse me. Do you hear?
Yes, can you hear me?
Yes, now I can. Thank you very much.
And Moses said, This is the thing which the Lord hath commanded. Let an omer full of it be kept throughout your generations, that they may see the bread wherewith I fed you in the wilderness, when I brought you forth from the land of Egypt. And Moses said unto Aaron, Take a jar, and put an omer full of manna therein, and lay it up before the Lord to be kept throughout your generations. As the Lord commanded Moses, so Aaron laid it up before the testimony to be kept. And the children of Israel did eat the manna 40 years, until they came to a land inhabited. They did eat the manna until they came unto the borders of the land of Canaan. Now an omer is the 10th part of an ephah.
Thank, thank you. Thank you. So what is the topic here that we discuss at the moment?
The instructions of Moses to eat the manna.
Yes, yes, that's correct. And now let's read the Hebrew version. And who is volunteering to read the Hebrew? Good morning, Sia. Yes, the Hebrew text. Charles, can you read, please? Or Fernando? Yes?
Chapter 16, verse what?
Chapter 16, verse 32.
32.
Do you have it?
Yeah, I'm just checking it out. Chapter 32. ויאמר משה, זה הדבר אשר ציווה יהודה ו"ו מלוא האומר ממנו למשמרת לדוחותיכם, למען יראו את הלחם אשר האכלתי אתכם במדבר, בהוציאי אתכם מארץ מצרים. ויאמר משה אל אהרון, קח צנצנת אחת ותן שמה מלוא העומד מן, והנח אותו לפני יהודה ו"ו למשמרת לדוחותיכם. כאשר ציווה יהודה ו"ו אל משה, ויניחהו אהרון לפני העדות למשמרת. ובני ישראל אכלו את המן 40 שנה עד בואה אל ארץ נושבת את המן אכלו עד בואם אל קצה ארץ כנען, והעומר השכית האפה הוא.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. So, what Moses said, what does Moses say to our Aaron? Verse 33. Take what? I move here into the English that you could see. What does Aaron is requested to take?
A jar.
A jar. A jar. Let's look into the Hebrew word of a jar. A second. Tzintzenet. I have to move. I'm sorry that everything changes all the time. I have to move to a little pen. Tzintzenet. Tzintzenet is a jar. when we think about a jar in English, what do we think about? Can you describe the vessel which is called a jar in English?
It's an open container, and usually if it's a jar, it usually has something that you can screw on top
Mm-hmm.
and store things inside of.
Mm-hmm. And the jar is like transparent or not, or it can be also from clay. How it is when you say jar in English, it's only does it refer also to the material or just to the shape and
Yeah,
the
like a usually it's a glass jar
Mhm.
that is clear. And yeah, it's not like a bowl. But I think because it's glass, then usually the lid that you screw on fits with glass more
Thank
than
you.
a clay jar. But there could possibly be a clay jar. I'm not sure.
Mhm. Thank you. In Hebrew, when you say zinsenet, it is basically means like something from a glass, a transparent that you can see through. This is why I asked, because I read before in English, and jar can refer both to clay and both to a glass, but in Hebrew, it is referring to a glass. And if we look and if we want to see what jar is, not in terms of a physical how do you say, how it appears physical in our lives, what is the core thinking of zinsenet? We put aside the last letter tav. This is the feminine, like Weinreb always advises. If there's a hey at the end, which is feminine letter, or tav, we sometimes put it aside for a moment just to look at the root of the word. And we are left with 4 letters: tzadik, nun. Tzadi, nun. When we take those letters and we give them a value, this is 90, 50, 90, 50. And what do we have? 90 and 50, how much do they make? Ninety,
140.
140. Yes, 140 each. Does this number tell you something?
Adam. Yes.
Adam.
Diet. Yes.
Adam. And you say, what else did you say? The et? The ed? The et?
Did. Yes. Did.
Ed, the mist, you
Aleph
mean?
Dalit.
Aleph,
Yes.
yes, the mist.
Yes, the mist.
The mist. Thank you. This is very interesting. What I would like to share with you is the concept of Rabbi Isaac Luria, how he read the text. He looks basically at this value, and he, how do you say, add those sums. And we get, if we add those sums, 140 and 140, we get 280. And 280 is the value of the whole last letters of 5 final letters. Yes? Do you remember the final letters? What final letters do we have? Do you remember?
Mem final.
Mem
final.
Mem final. Yes, Charles?
Nun final.
Yes.
Nun final. Tzadi
No.
final.
Yes.
Tzadi final.
Pay final, kaf final. Yes. All those letters, the final letters, if we add them up, we get the value of 280. What Luria says is what is the manna? is to take the mem and the nun, man, to separate them here. They have together the value of 90. And what we are left here with 190. Yes? 190 is the 10 times Eve. 10 double 19, which is Eve. So what Luria says, what is to put the manna in the jar? What does it mean? And the manna, again, the manna was collected by the people twice a day. Do you remember this? In the evening and in the morning, do you remember this? If we take the 90 divided into 2, we have 45. 45 is Adam. Adam and Adam, human and human. So Luria says, and excuse me for bringing this very, very deep mathematical perspective, is what does it mean? What is to put the manna into a jar? To put the letters mem, nun, to put the letters, to take them out from the final, those are not just final letters, those are also like finite, those letters are, how do you say, symbolizing the finite times. So to pull the manna, it means to pull the letters mem and nun to pull them from the finite times, that they will illuminate to us as a spiritual bread. In another perspective, the manna refers to the book of Zohar. Again, manna, man. This is the book of Zohar. The book of Zohar. What does it mean to put it in a jar? 1 second. When we put things in the jar, it means we want to conserve them, whether it's a jam or pickles. So what does it mean to put the manna in the jar? It means to put the book of Zohar in a very, very special, dear place, that we can conserve the secrets of it, and we could inspire people with its secret when the end of time is coming. Do we understand this, or it's too complex to understand?
I was wondering, the word manna, is that's not a coincidence that the last letters are like ma and final mem and nun?
Mm-hmm.
Like, is that where it got its name from?
Yes. Because the people, when they saw the manna, they could not say, what is this? So they asked in Aramaic, manhu, what is this? Man, in Aramaic, it's what? What is this? And what in Hebrew is ma, as Adam. You see this game of words? The people, we don't have the full text of the chapter, how the story rolls, but the people who saw the manna first time asked in Aramaic, man who? What is this? They could not identify it. It's not something that they are familiar with. So man who?
Because it's...
Yes.
Is that like the relationship between the manifest and the potential?
Yes.
Where like the Eve or the 190 is all the manifest, and then the potential is the manna?
Yes, the potential is the manna. Yes.
Eti,
Yes.
if you could say more about this manna in relation with the book of Zohar, because just yesterday, I don't know if some people get this literally, or how could we take this sentence? Because just yesterday I heard a story about a group of studies in United States of the Book of Zohar that they were in Florida, if I remember well, and it was they had a bad weather there, and they start to give Zohar books to people in their province, let's say, in their city, and the city was not affected by tornadoes and other things because they reputed it because they give it the book of Zohar. I found it very literal manner to approach the idea that giving a book to somebody you could protect it or something like this. But just now you mentioned that the book of Zohar needs a place to be respected, and I think that the best way to respect it is studying and talking about this. But if you could bring more light about this concept of the manna being connected with the book of Zohar.
First of all, thank you for sharing the story from Florida. I just wanted to add something which I read in a book regarding the book of Zohar. This story happened in the last century, in the 40s. One of the students of Bala Sulam, he had a single child, one child, and his single child was having cancer in the brain in the 40s. And the student of Bala Sulam himself, he was a great rabbi, he says, what to do, they going to operate him, and how can I save, we have only one child, how can we save the child? And he said, distribute the book of Zohar. And I can bring you the name. At the moment I don't have the name, but I can bring details later. And this student of Bala Sulam brought either 300, I think 300 or 3,000. Please forgive me about the zero, but it's something with 300 or 3,000 sets of the book of Zohar that Bala Sulam already wrote a translation to Hebrew. He bought from Bala Sulam, not himself, but he bought from the printing house 300 sets of the book of Zohar. He traveled from Israel, Palestine, in the 40s it used to be called Palestine. He traveled to America, North America, and then he distributed 300 set or 3,000, don't catch me in this number, he distributed 300 sets. When he arrived, he completed his mission of distribution. He went back to Palestine, and they came with their son to make how do you say radio, to make this before they go to surgery. They make a photo. How do you say? They call it radio. How do you call this in medicine? Before there is an MRI, they used to make like a photo. I don't know the name now in English. Again, Charles?
Radiography.
Radiography. The doctors operated radiography before they want to make an operation on his head to open his skull and to take the tumor. And they make a radiography, and they found none. No tumor, nothing. And the child was saved. This is for the case in Florida. Because I read it in a book, and there's like documentary about this case, so I bring it, even if you take it literally. But this is the advice that Bala Sulam himself gave his student how to save this child, because it was the only child that they had. This is one thing. Of course, if it's possible to speak and to learn and to speak, of course, it is. It's very good to everyone who is dealing with it, because we keep the spirit alive, and while we speak, we are arising worlds in others and in ourselves, and this is very important, because to build those inner worlds is the most important thing. It's like to rescue the spirit from the matter. This is why Rabbi Isaac Luria says to pull the manna, the letters mem and nun, from the other final letters, because we take the potential and we save it in a very modest place. Tzadi and nun, those letters are also the beginning of the word modesty. Tzadi, nun, and then we have ayin, which I now don't write. This is modesty. Modesty. You remember the book of modesty, Fernando?
Yes,
Yes. So it is for modest, how do you say, moderate and modesty people, that the spirit is modest. But you asked another question about the manna. Why is the manna associated, manna, with the book of Zohar? Because this...
yes,
Yes.
and this story that you just shared is beautiful, and I thank you for sharing this. And if you could just make this relation about the manna and the book of Zohar, I will be glad.
There is a verse not here at the text, because that Moses says, this is the bread that you shall eat. And it is not about physical, what's supposed to nourish us. It's not just physical things, physical object, but something that comes from the heavens. And this is the manna. This is the bread that you shall eat in the desert. Usually people think, like we see this in the painting, people just tour. I for a reason I brought this painting, just to make like a case study. What people think, okay, the Israelites walked 40 years in the desert, and in the desert there's no field, no agriculture, what can you eat? So he brought them like something like a little bread from the sky that they could eat in 40 years in the desert. Something like this, like in a legend that everybody believes. This is a beautiful legend. Look, the bread is coming out from the sky like little snowflakes. Beautiful. But it's not about it. Because this is not historical event. Our life here is like walking in the desert. Desert has a value, is like a conflict situation all the time. In the time that they were walking in the desert, all the time disputes and conflict, and nobody believes Moses. Because we are doubting in this mess, is there a purpose to our life till we arrive to the promised land as we promised? So to ease our journey here, there's the manna comes. And the manna is not something physical. Like we share ideas with friends, like Thomas shared the moment of the sunrise, and Felipe relate to it. And you shared, Fernando, the story about the Florida Zohar case. And Jill shares something. Everybody shares something, and this is the manna. This is something very, very thin, which is related to the spirit. Every word that a person says here in this conversation is manna. We relate to it like a little baby, or like a little illumination that comes from heaven, and we take care of it. So it's not something which belongs in a way to legend book or history book. It's something that happens in our daily life every moment. What brought me to the story of the manna? It is basically two things. A comment by Fernando about the name Nebuchadnezzar, when we were speaking about Daniel, and a jar that I found at home, and those came together because Fernando, I just share with you the moment how things are happening, and I would like to that we shall learn how to that things are coming together. They mean something. So Fernando noticed. 1 second, I will write a name. 1 second, write the name Nebuchadnezzar, the king. Nebuchadnezzar. And Fernando was mentioning those two letters as 50 and 90, that they make 140. And when I saw the jar today, in Hebrew, this is Zinzenet. Zinzenet. Again, those two letters in a different order. And this brought me this idea. I mean, the physical jar that was in the kitchen, and the remark from Fernando. And it always happens that, and this is what happened. You have illumination from the right, an idea, manifestation on the left. This is a physical object, and now we have this conversation, and then we have a vessel. Because all of those conversations, there is a verse, there is something that happens in reality, and then we bind the right and the left, and we bring it to the middle to a conversation. Whatever enters this class is things. It's a verse and reality in the field, and we bring them together in the third line, and this is how we make those lessons. Now, please feel free to.
Beautiful. This is really beautiful, and it takes me to a new question. Two new questions. The first one is about the mohims, the intellects that came from above, every day to us. Let's say we have these ideas that you just mentioned, and you have this ability to put the ideas on the board and to bring to conversation. But sometimes we have these insights and we have an idea to make a poem like Thomas, or to read the book of Zohar, or to make a podcast, but we do not do it. And the manna must be consumed in a day, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so, if you could say the importance of bringing to life the ideas that come to us like babies that you just mentioned.
Yes, they're like babies, yes. Sometimes there aren't any communities around us to share it. So this is the manna bread. It's like we collect it on the field. This is our daily life. And there's a verse or an idea or a reality. Sometimes we just nourish ourselves because we cannot share, because at the moment there is no community or people that will appreciate this. So we are like chewing it in a way on our own and writing something to ourselves, or trying to share as much as possible, if it's possible. Yes, and I think if we can share it with others, it's the best thing we can do. There's nothing greater than this, I think, in life, because it has no finite dimension. It's infinite. Those dimensions are infinite, and if we can share an infinite moment with another person, there's nothing greater than this. And sometimes it's a letter, Fernando, to a friend, and sometimes it's a telephone call, if it's possible. Most people are not appreciating those deep conversations. They can't. It's not their fault, just they can't. They're not open to this. People who are open to this, there are people who already went through a way, not just in this lifetime, but they went in their generations inside of themselves, many, many, many lifetimes, that they are ready to hear, to listen, and to converse about those topics. It's a matter of preparation, and not everyone is prepared.
Can I ask a question?
Yes.
Is that Nebuchadnezzar on the right?
Yes.
Okay. And also, bread in Hebrew is 78, right?
That's correct. Yes.
And just to be clear, the manna is unleavened bread?
The manna is a night bread, the night's bread. Lechem abirim. Lechem abirim. You remember the knights that used to be in Europe? Used to ride, so to speak, about they used to ride horses, they used to fight for values. How do I spell
Oh, that.
night? How do I spell night? K-N?
Yeah, Knight.
Thank you. So, night bread. The manna is night bread.
Because the bread, or the dream, the salt, the mercy, the relation, plus the 12
Mm-hmm.
is the manna.
Excellent, excellent. The bread, the salt, excellent. Bread. Sorry. Again, I would like to write it. Thomas?
What?
What you just said, I would like to write it on the board.
Oh, the bread,
Mm-hmm.
which is 78,
Mm-hmm.
which also has the value as salt, mercy, dream,
Mm-hmm.
relation,
Mm-hmm.
plus the 12, like the 12 tribes,
Mm-hmm.
or the month of Adar, equals 90,
Yes. Yes.
which is the manna.
Which is the manna.
And if I may, to add that the manna is given twice a day, so each 12 hours we have this manna, this bread.
Yes. Yes, that's correct. Thank you. That's correct. Each 12 hours. The I would say the bread, the dream, the mercy, the relation that's supposed to sustain us 12 hours. Yes. Or in the 12, not just hours, 12 situations that we have. Because 12 is a manifestation of time.
And I was thinking also that this jar has the value of the moon cycle, 28.
Yeah.
So, is there any relation with this aspect of the cycles, the time passing by, that we could relate to the manna and everything we are talking about? Because it's interesting, because I was Thomas brought this aspect of the 12, and it was popping up that this manna has a close relation to what is in the realm of manifested, in the realm of time. And you cannot keep and save this bread for the next day, or it has this the essence of the manna. It's to be, how can I say, not permanent.
Yes, it is fresh. We cannot keep it for the next day. It has to be fresh. It's like every understanding, this is it. Every understanding that we have is like a fresh moment. Yes, it's like the manna. It's the moment, either moment comes and we share it with others, and but we cannot accumulate of the many of it, just the essence of it. It is interesting because what I saw in Luria's thinking, that if you take the root letters of the jar, which is giving us twice 140 or 1 to 4 or 2 haze, 2-letter haze, this is one perspective. Another perspective gives us the 280, which is a cycle of the moon, but also the cycle of the whole finite letters. And from the finite situation, in a way, what you're asking is maybe from the moon cycle, Luria rescue or pull out the situation of the sun, the essence, from the finite. In a way, the moon is a finite situation, but the sun is always there, so he managed to pull from the finite situation the essence moments and to illuminate with them. This is how, because the way Luria reached his conclusions, not all the time appearing in the text. There's sometimes only conclusions or mathematics or relations with letters. The way, like we do in mathematics, the whole way, not all the time appearing, and we have to figure out. But what I found interesting is the value of 280 and the cycle of the moon and those finite letters. And also there's another verse here in the text in Hebrew, that you shall eat the manna until you will arrive to the borders of the land. K'tse haaretz, border of the land, and k'tse, border, in Hebrew, without the hay, k'tse is the border or the edge, k'tse. If we take the hay outside, again, it's a feminine letter. We look at the stem letters. Kof and tzadik. Ketz, this is the end. This is 100, and this is 90. 190 is Ketz, the end, or 10 times Eve. So in this way, if we read the verse, and this is why do they come to the conclusion that the manna is the book of Zohar? You will eat, in this way we can read the verse, that you will eat the manna, the spiritual bread or the book of Zohar, until you will reach the end of times. And when the end of times are arriving, the curtain is rising, and you see that everything is spirit. It's like what we see now. Systems are collapsing all over the place. All systems do not work. There's embarrassment in governments, in all dimensions. People don't know what to do. Education and medicine and governments and borders, and everything collapses. The finite collapses. Why? Because we need, or the spirit wants to bring a new picture. But to bring a new picture, everything has to be demolished, and this is what we see now. Corona is just one aspect of it. We are familiar with the last 2 years of the name Corona, but it's basically a reset of systems. Because from our own initiation, we are too lazy to change things. We just keep doing the same thing again and again. But the Corona enforces us, all humanity, to update and to be on the same page.
You know it. I was thinking about this. Uh, Once you brought this aspect of the final letters. If I'm not wrong, in the story of the red 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 cow, I don't know
Yes,
if it is
yes.
correct.
Charles' question, I
Afar
remember.
a,
Yes,
a farpaha is something
yes,
like
yes.
this. And in that occasion, we were talking about, when you are in the bottom of the pit and you do not have elsewhere to run, and you are in a very dark situation in life sometimes, and all that the only option is to rise up,
Yes.
is to is when you have nothing to lose, and in this very moment some miracle happens, because we see often people that are in very dark places and in bad situations, and and in this moment they give up, of of, of struggling with their own situations and their own, you know and in this moment you you are detached of all your I don't know the proper words in English, but you feel like free, you are so you are so uh, in a bad situation that you are free, and then comes the light. And we often say that in the darkest uh, places is where the light is brighter.
Yes.
And I guess it has something to do with this mana, because when we are in this moment of darkness, we suddenly are able to receive what really matters, which is the the heavenly bread. And it's very beautiful. These these moments are generally followed by years or a long time of struggling and suffering. But finally, we have this moment of light, of deep love for humanity in us. I was just uh, thinking about this by these final letters, and
Thank you for sharing.
thank you.
Got a question?
Yes.
The last verse, verse 36,
Mm-hmm.
it talks of the Omer is a tenth of an ephah.
Mm-hmm.
I just wanted to find out how it came in. It's not talking of the Omer, counting the Omer.
Mm-hmm.
What is the relation here?
Omer, Omer is a measure. Omer is a measure of putting sheaf together. It's a measure. You can say in English a bunch of sheaf or a handful of flour. Yes, Omer is a measure. In this context, yes, in verse 36, Omer is a measure. In this context, counting of the Omer is another system of thinking. But we can say that counting of the Omer is counting certain measures or aspects inside of ourselves. But those are completely two systems of thinking. At this verse, Omer is a measure. It's one tenth of Ephah. Ephah in this case is not just a measure, but ephah. And ephah, if we read this verse not as literal, it means that the Omer is 10% of the ephah. Ephah is not just a measure. We can read the ephah as ephah, where. And where, the question where, we ask about the concealed. The concealed. So the Omer in this case is 10% or a tenth from the concealed or the hidden. When you ask in English, where is the ball? In Hebrew we say ephah. Ephah are the same letters like ephah here, ephah. Where? Where is the ball? Ephah. Ephah. Where? Why do you ask where is the ball? Because we don't see the ball. The ball is hidden. And the Omer is 10% of the hidden. And now we go back to verse 33 and put there Shama. Shama is also the letters Moshe or Hashem there. Put there. He says put there in the jar. There is Shama like Hashem. Melo HaOmer. Handful of Omer. And Omer is what? 10% of the hidden. So what is in the jar? 10% or the potential of the hidden. And
Wow.
yes.
E.T.
Yes.
I don't know, Charles, if I may, I don't know if you wish to say something else. I just have one connection here that came to my mind. It was very beautiful to listen from what Felipe said and Charles, Eti. And I was just wondering here, Eti, now you are saying that we only put 10% on the jar, because when we have an insight, usually the insight is too big that we could manage. So we put like just a little part of it in the jar. And from what Felipe said, that in the dark moments we receive the purest manna, it's interesting because we could think that this darkest moment is a way to be free from the klipa, to be free from our ideas, our preconceived ideas, and we need to just let it go, to live a new life.
Mm-hmm.
So, and we recognize that we need something from the heavens. And when Felipe said about the light, it came to me that Zohar is a splendor. The meaning of Zohar is a splendor. It's like a reflected light or something like this. So for me came the idea that this, to receive the manna, we need to know that we need the manna. To receive grace, we need to not be full of ourselves. We need to open a space to the conversation, to learn from others, to be aware from what the grace that is coming all the time show to us, maybe.
Yes, and just to give an example to what you say, about to receive the moments of grace, and sometimes those moments of grace are coming through a situation that it's hard to think that they will bring any fruit. But those things are happening. Sometimes when a day is very hectic and you prepare something to have a conversation. It happened to me on Friday. I prepared a long study to make a podcast, and it was a stormy day. I just came down from the bus on the way home, and came another bus, and I had recited in my mind what I'm going to speak in the podcast the whole morning, the study, everything prepared. Suddenly came a bus from the other side. On the window of the bus driver there was a curtain. On the curtain there was like sample of maybe aleph, maybe triangle, I don't know. With the appearance of the bus and with the curtain of the bus driver window, I saw something, a shape. And with the shape appeared the word Anna Daniel. I am Daniel. It was like Etty left the bus, saw another bus coming, saw the window of the bus driver with a curtain, and with this, in a third dimension, appeared the verse from the book of Daniel, Anna Daniel, which means, in English, I am Daniel. And with it came a new podcast that I shared with you on Friday, meaning something else, completely different. After I prepared 1 week or more, I think, Fernando, with bread as civilization. I prepared something. And suddenly this moment, which is very alive, come and says, I would like to be spoken, and now you shall speak me. And this is what happened. And this is in a way to put everything together, Fernando and Felipe and Charles, and to be modest enough, not modest, but to understand, I don't know how to understand what reality wants to bring. And the scripture saying that the poor, the prayer of the poor comes first. There is a psalms that say the prayer of the poor comes first. Though we make week of studies to make a podcast about the bread, week of studies, the poor moment that appears from in a dark day, in a rainy day, and says Anna Daniel, and there's nothing else, just people will tell you it's a bus. This is a bus driver. This is a, what is there? Nothing. To put everything, all the wealth in brackets that you, all the studies, the rich studies, to put aside, to forget, and to speak Anna Daniel. And this is what happens. Because Felipe asked, what happens in this dark moment? And then suddenly comes. Because if we allow ourselves to bow our head in front of the very bare moment, and to admit what this bare moment wants to give us, what this life which comes from nothing, this baby, what name does he has? He is born in this rainy day, when everybody is running to prepare the seventh day. Nobody has a patient, everybody stretch out. And in this moment, those dead moments, they have more liveliness in them than any party. And this is what I would like to share with you.
This is amazing, Eti. Really, I really appreciate. And I just took the word here to say one thing. That just this week I read in the book of Zohar about the lore that Adam read the book of generations of the humanity. And when he read about David, he knew that David would die in his birth, you know.
Mm-hmm.
So he opened a space, he given 70 years to David. And
Yes.
It makes me remember about your classes, because the first time that I listened to this was here in the classes. So it is just like what you said, you know. Adam would have 1,000 years.
Mm-hmm.
But since he saw something beautiful in humanity, he opened a space of 70 years to give to David.
Yes, it's beautiful.
Mm-hmm.
It is so beautiful. Yes, because David is supposed not to have a life of its own. He's supposed to die the moment he was born, and Adam felt mercy for him. So he gave him 70 years of his life. Beautiful. So what we think, I think that all of us move through life in dull moments, in brackets, dead moments. There is no dead moment or a dull moment which is not, how do you say, targeted us. Even everything has a purpose, everything has aim. The dark moment, the dull moment, everything has a purpose as in tune with our mind. And we just have to share the moment. And this is it. Please pay attention to me. I'm a moment. I was created for you. Even if I'm dull, even if I'm nervous, I have a message for you. So please acknowledge me. Thank you so much. Thank you, Victoria. Natalia, thank you. Michelle. Questions or things that you would like to share at the moment?
Just to thank you for the Manna. Thank you for the beautiful class.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you all.
I hope it was.
My friend.
Thank you so much. I hope the mathematics was not too complex. Sometimes the mathematics is like to support the conversation, but sometimes we don't need the mathematics. But I would like to share with you what I find in the books. So I hope it's not too hard and you have the spirit of the conversation. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Victoria, Maya. Thank you, Natalia, Michelle. Thank you all. Ania, have a good day.
Say goodbye, Aurora.
Hello, Aurora. Hello. Wow, she speaks. That's nice.
Bye, Eti.
Thank you so much, Aurora. Hello.
So cute, Felipe.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.